What happens when an artist becomes bigger than the deal that made him famous? Behind the scenes, there's growing tension around Pooh Shiesty, not because of music, but because of money, value, and loyalty. Industry insiders claim renegotiations didn't match his current worth, and now two powerful camps may be quietly pulling in opposite directions. No public shots, no loud statements, just calculated moves happening in the background. And the biggest question isn't who's right, it's who Pooh Shiesty chooses when opportunity and loyalty no longer point in the same direction.
It looks like tension between Yo Gotti and Gucci Mane may be quietly resurfacing, especially after Pooh Shiesty's release and renewed conversations around label loyalty. Behind the success of the CMG empire, questions are being raised about decisions made while key artists were unavailable, and how those choices may have reignited old rivalries that once nearly derailed both sides. What started as a simple record deal gradually shifted into industry politics that now has fans and insiders watching closely. And the reality behind it all appears far more calculated than many initially thought. Before we break everything down, let's be clear and responsible here. Social media has been buzzing with speculation about Pooh Shiesty wanting out of 1017, while Yo Gotti has been publicly supportive in ways that some fans interpret as recruitment. Pooh Shiesty was finally coming home from his federal sentence, and during that time, the landscape of the music business changed significantly. Like any artist returning after time away, he was ready to get back to work, but reports and online chatter suggest there may have been tension around finances and expectations. Now, before anyone assumes this is just another routine contract disagreement, it's important to understand why people see this is deeper than paperwork. This situation touches on loyalty, respect, and unresolved history between two major figures who already had complicated past interactions. Things tend to escalate quickly when a major artist is rumored to be considering a move toward a rival camp, especially when long-standing competition is involved. To understand why this feels so sensitive, we need to go back to a time when Gucci Mane and Yo Gotti were actually on good terms. In the early 2010s, both artists were dominating the southern rap scene. Gucci came up out of Zone 6 in Atlanta, while Gotti represented North Memphis. They shared similar backgrounds, similar struggles, and a mutual understanding of what it took to survive and succeed. This wasn't just an industry relationship for appearances, there was genuine respect built on shared experience. Gucci was already established as a major force, often called the trap pioneer, but he recognized something familiar in Gotti: the drive, the authenticity, and the determination to build something lasting. At that time, collaborations between two already established artists weren't as common as they are today, so when Gucci and Gotti released joint projects, it felt significant. Fans saw it as two respected artists pushing each other creatively, and the response from the streets reflected that. However, the story goes deeper than friendship. October 17, 2012 was a critical date for Gucci Mane. That date symbolized his brand, 1017. He had spent months promoting his Trap God release, mentioning the date repeatedly in interviews and online. Back then, release timing was crucial, especially in the mixtape era, when momentum and buzz mattered heavily. Everything was set, the marketing was in place, collaborations were locked, and distribution plans were finalized. October 17th was meant to be Gucci's moment to reinforce 1017 as a serious label presence. That's why things became complicated when Yo Gotti announced he would be releasing CM7, The World Is Yours, on the same day.
Gotti later stated that the overlap wasn't intentional and claimed he didn't initially realize the conflict. According to his account, once he became aware, he thought it could actually be a positive moment. Two friends releasing music on the same day and dominating attention together. From his perspective, it was more celebratory than competitive. But from a business standpoint, overlapping release dates can create problems. When artists share similar audiences, attention gets divided. Streams, coverage, and sales all get split. Instead of one project owning the conversation, both releases compete for space. For Gucci, who had been building anticipation around that date for months, this reportedly felt like his moment was being diluted. There's also an emotional element. Gucci had attached personal meaning to October 17th, so seeing another major release, especially from someone close, on that same day, may have felt like a lack of consideration. According to Gotti, he tried reaching out to Gucci directly to talk it through. He called multiple times and even contacted people around Gucci, but didn't receive a response initially. Complicating matters further, Gotti had recently released a remix of I Got Racks featuring T.I. and Jeezy. At that time, Jeezy and Gucci had well-documented tension, which added another layer to the situation. Eventually, communication did happen after Gucci addressed the issue publicly in a tweet that many interpreted as indirect but pointed. Gotti has said that once they spoke, he believed things were resolved and even moved his release date to October 18th out of respect. However, Gucci later suggested that the release date wasn't his only concern. In interviews, he emphasized feeling that his momentum and brand were being used without alignment. The situation escalated publicly when Gucci released Birds of a Feather, which included a line signaling that the relationship had fractured. That moment marked a clear shift. Gotti initially avoided responding, but eventually released Have Mercy, signaling that the friendship was no longer intact. Another layer entered the conversation during a later interview when Gotti made a personal claim involving Keyshia Ka'oir, who is now Gucci Mane's wife. Gotti described the situation as something that occurred while Gucci was incarcerated, framing it casually. It's important to note that this account reflects Gotti's perspective and has never been independently verified. At the time, Gucci was serving time after a probation violation related to incomplete community service requirements. The judge revoked probation, resulting in a 1-year sentence. That period marked a difficult chapter in Gucci's life and career, and it's often referenced when discussing the strain in several of his relationships during that era.
Squash his beef with Yo like he did everybody else. I think it's more so about the girl, his wife, and no disrespect to her, but would you be willing to squash some beef with somebody who had sex with your wife? You know, maybe while you was in prison, I don't know when it was or whatever.
Oh, Lord.
It's supposed to be your friend.
While Gucci was locked up and unable to properly defend his relationship or even communicate clearly with Keyshia, Yo Gotti made a move that later raised eyebrows. According to Gotti, he claimed he didn't realize Gucci was serious about Keyshia at the time. He described it as something casual, saying it was just how things sometimes go in the streets. But to many people, that explanation didn't sit right. Even if you don't know how serious a relationship is, getting involved with someone connected to your associate while they're incarcerated crosses a line for a lot of folks. What made the situation feel worse to some was the way Gotti spoke about it publicly. In interviews, he appeared relaxed about the situation, even joking at times, which gave the impression that it wasn't taken seriously. Not long after, in 2013, Gucci himself ended up back behind bars, facing serious legal trouble. He was charged with 2 counts related to possession of a firearm as a felon, stemming from separate encounters where authorities recovered weapons. With his past record, prosecutors were pushing for a lengthy sentence. Ironically, that prison sentence turned out to be a major turning point in Gucci's life. When he was released in 2016, he came home looking like a completely different person, focused, healthier, and no longer interested in unnecessary drama. He reportedly lost around 40 pounds early into his sentence after stepping away from substances that had been weighing him down. By the time he returned home, he had a new child, his label was in a stronger position, and he appeared ready to move forward rather than revisit old conflicts. The Gucci from years earlier might have taken to social media, firing off tweets and reigniting feuds weekly. But this version of Gucci was quiet, business-minded, and strategic. He focused on improving his music, developing artists more carefully, and building something lasting instead of just talking about success. Fast forward to 2020, and Gucci signed a rising artist from Memphis, Pooh Shiesty. Right away, Pooh stood out. He carried a raw energy that reminded fans of Gucci's early days, but with a sound that resonated with a younger audience. His background aligned perfectly with the 1017 brand, coming from struggle, navigating street realities, and showing a hunger that can't really be taught. That desperation to succeed is often what separates good artists from great ones. Unfortunately, not long after, Pooh Shiesty ran into serious legal trouble. In October 2021, he was arrested on federal firearms conspiracy charges and was later sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. For many artists, something like that can stall or even end a career. Time away can slow momentum, reduce visibility, and make fans move on. Despite that, Gotti continued to show public support. He spoke openly about missing Pooh, expressed excitement for his eventual return, and emphasized that 1017 was standing behind him. At one point, Gotti even streamlined his label roster, reportedly keeping only Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano, signaling where his focus was. But while Pooh was away, the industry didn't slow down. Other artists secured major deals, streaming numbers across the board increased, and the market value of breakout rappers climbed fast. By the time Pooh's release approached, it became clear that his worth in the industry had grown. This is where Yo Gotti enters the picture again. Over the past few years, CMG has aggressively expanded, signing buzz-worthy artists and offering competitive deals. Gotti began publicly supporting Pooh Shiesty, not just with casual shoutouts, but with consistent promotion across social platforms. These posts reached millions and generated real attention. He even connected Pooh with CMG's biggest female artist, Glorilla, for a collaboration. Many observers felt the timing wasn't accidental. Industry chatters suggested Gotti was aware that Pooh's contract with 1017 was nearing renegotiation, and CMG was positioning itself as an attractive alternative. From a business point of view, it looked calculated and strategic.
According to people familiar with the situation, when renegotiations came up, Gucci's reported offers didn't align with what Pooh was believed to be worth at that stage. These claims suggest the numbers reflected an early career deal rather than one matching Pooh's streaming success, cultural reach, and earning potential. It's important to note these details are based on industry sources, not official contracts. Still, some insiders felt the offers didn't reflect Pooh's contribution to the label. Gotti, for his part, isn't known for airing business matters publicly. Unlike earlier years, he rarely takes to social media at events. But those close to the situation say he wasn't pleased with what appeared to be another attempt by Gotti to pull value away from something Gucci helped build. And from that perspective, the frustration is understandable. Developing an artist from the ground up only to face outside pressure once they peak is a familiar industry tension. For Gucci, the situation may feel familiar. Years ago, there were accusations that Gotti tried to capitalize on Gucci's momentum during key moments. Now, once again, it looks like competition over an asset Gucci helped develop. That said, the landscape is very different today. Gotti now operates from a larger platform with more resources and strong industry positioning. CMG is widely viewed as one of the most influential labels right now, while 1017's visibility has been closely tied to Pooh Shiesty's success. The big question remains, what does Pooh Shiesty want? On one side, there's loyalty to the label that gave him his first real opportunity. Gucci took a chance when others didn't, providing a platform that helped turn him into a star. For many, that kind of loyalty still matters. But this situation also reflects how the industry has evolved. In the past, personal conflicts often kept business lines separate. Today, opportunity often outweighs history. Still, perceptions of respect and loyalty haven't disappeared entirely. If Pooh chooses to leave 1017, it could signal to other artists that allegiance has limits, especially if they feel undervalued. That could push more artists to renegotiate harder or seek labels they believe better recognize their worth. If you're interested in more breakdowns of the business side of hip-hop and the real dynamics behind major headlines, check out our other videos. We cover label politics, artist contracts, and the behind-the-scenes decisions that shape the culture. Until next time, stay sharp, and remember, in this industry, loyalty matters until opportunity changes the conversation.